Welcome to Free to Flourish Radio with me, Gemma Sands. This is your place to come and be inspired and empowered to live a heart-led life. Each week you can expect soulful conversation on topics like holistic wellness, living with intention, conscious business, and how to create life by your own design. So get cozy and let's jump into this week's episode.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. I am sat recording this from my office with the beautiful sunshine streaming in, which is just making such a difference because we are not really having much of a summer here, especially in the part of the UK that I live in. So it's nice to have some sunshine and some blue sky and some big white fluffy clouds instead of grey and rain and murky days. And it's Friday and I'm just generally feeling super happy. I took some time this morning to go for a nice long walk out in the sunshine and it's made a whole lot of difference. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more actually over on my Facebook page. I'm going to hop on and do a Facebook Live after I finished recording this podcast. So if you want to hear a little bit more about the lessons that I learned from going on my daily walk, you can head over there. I'll leave the link in the show notes or you can just search for Gemma Sands Tribe over on Facebook. But today, here on the podcast, I want to talk about, or take some time to talk about, a question that I was recently emailed, that I received through emails from someone who follows along with what I do. And I replied to that, but I want to cover it also here in this environment, because I think it is something that many of us actually deal with a little bit, or have concerns around, or just experience at some point in our life. The chances are, if you are listening to this podcast and you're someone who's, pretty into personal growth and self-development and spiritual growth and that whole kind of area, which is amazing. But sometimes when we are making change in our life and, we're looking for more positive ways to conduct ourselves and live and all of this kind of thing, it can be difficult when the people around us are not in that same place. So the question that I received through email was from a lady who was improving her health and her lifestyle and making some really healthy, positive lifestyle changes, but the people around her were not in that same place. And her question was, I'm making all of these positive changes, how can I make my family do the same thing? And my initial response to this is you can't make them do anything that they are not ready to do. And I completely understand that as you grow and you learn and you understand more about nutrition and what's healthy and what's not healthy, that of course you want to encourage your family to also embrace, this new healthier way of living. But the fact is, you can't make them do it. Okay, so I am in charge of my own reality. You're in charge of your own reality. Everyone else is in charge of their own reality. So actually, what you're doing, listening to this, what you're doing with your life, what anybody else out there is doing with their life is none of my business. In the same way that, my reality, the reality I'm creating for myself is actually none of your business. And it sounds really harsh when I say it like that, but that is the truth of it. And of course, we all have opinions, we all have judgments, we all do that. It's completely natural part of being a human being. We all have opinions and we all have judgments about other people's choices and how they're living their life and that kind of thing. But the reality is, it's none of our business. Our eyes need to be on creating our own reality. So you can't, with that in mind, you can't force anybody to make the same choices and the same decisions for themselves as you are for yourself. But what you can do is you can continue to show up for yourself, because when you show up for yourself, you show other people what's possible. I've been having a lot of conversations with people recently, clients, people in my doTERRA business. We're all stepping out and forging our own path and potentially letting go of the more traditional way of doing things. And that can be hard for the people around us to fully understand. So, whether you are improving the way that, you look and focus on your health and your fitness and your physical wellness, or whether you're starting your own business, if you're doing it in a way that isn't the sort of traditional sense, but feels really good and really aligned for you, then it can be hard for other people to fully understand that sometimes. So they're going to make judgments, they're going to share their opinions, and sometimes that's great. Other times that can come across as if they're being a bit resistant or they're being a bit negative. But when we come back to it, again, we're in charge of our own reality, and whatever other people think about what we're doing, it isn't really any of our business. And I know that can be really hard. It can be really hard to get past this fear of what other people are going to think. But, if you break it down and you really look at the actions that you're taking, if they feel in full alignment with the things that you value and the priorities in your life, then what other people think really does become irrelevant, because you are following your heart and your path and doing what's true to you. And that has to be right. So going back to showing up and showing people what's possible for them, this really is the approach that I would suggest to use if you have any of these experiences. If you're wanting to encourage people around you to start to adopt the kind of lifestyle that you've got, if you want to maybe show people who don't fully understand what you're doing, or who have concerns, or who have resistance, then by showing up and continuing to show people what's possible, you will, help them to have a new perspective. And not always. There will always be people who perhaps just will have that resistance and that negativity. And that's when, you need to start to think about who you really want to have in your life and surrounding you. And there's that famous thing, which is, you're made up of the 5 people that you spend your most time with. So it's looking really closely at who you allow into your life, and what energy you allow to flow into your life. But that's completely a podcast for another day. That's a whole other topic in itself. But, when you show up and you show people what's possible, you have a really good chance of helping open their eyes to a new perspective. Because for many of us, the reason why we, have that fear or have that resistance around someone that we love making changes is because it's something that we deeply desire for ourselves, but we don't know how to do it. So when you start to show people what's possible, you shine the light, you show them that pathway, so that they're able to follow you. And, if you think about it, years and years ago, there was the whole 4-minute mile thing, okay? Everyone said 4-minute mile cannot be done. A mile cannot be run in 4 minutes. And then Roger Bannister did it. And now there's like over 1,000 people that have done it in less than 4 minutes. So sometimes, we think things are impossible or too difficult, or they're just, we can't do them. But all we really need is just someone to show up and show us the way. And you can be that person for the people in your life. So really, the answer to all of this is just continuing to live in alignment with what's right for you. Okay. And in doing that, you show people what's possible for them. I also encourage you to really tune into your vision for yourself, okay, and set some really healthy boundaries around this. So, if you do have people in your life who are constantly giving you their opinion, can you have that conversation with them about, whilst you value their concern and their love and their opinion, and come at this from a very loving perspective for them, have that conversation with them, but tell them that this is a topic that, you're taking off the table, because you're continuing to live in alignment with what's right for you, and you encourage them to do the same. And that can sound like quite a terrifying prospect, but often when we, trust the other person enough to say that to them, and to set that boundary, and to just really stay rooted in what's true for us, then actually, we're doing them a great service as well, because we're reminding them of what's true and real for them, and the power that they have to create their own reality for themselves. So quite an interesting topic. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your experiences, if you've had any experiences around this at all. then I would love to hear that. You can leave a comment under the show notes, under the post that's on the blog for this. Or you can send me an email. All my details are in the show notes for this episode if you would like to do that. I always read and respond to all comments and emails. I see this podcast as more than just me sat talking to you. I see this as a conversation, as a discussion. So I always love to hear your thoughts. I've got a few things going on that I just want to wrap up this podcast with, sharing those with you. So the first thing is that I've been blogging every day. So if you tune into the podcast but you've never headed over to the blog, you might want to do that because there's some new posts up there. I've been putting out new content every day. I don't know if that's something I'm going to continue to do. At the moment, I feel like I have the space and the time and the creativity for that. So I'm really enjoying it. So for the time being, that's definitely something that I'm going to continue to do, but I don't know how long that's going to last for. The second thing, as I mentioned in the beginning, is that I am really spending a lot more time in my Facebook community. So I'm going to be, hopping on there and doing Facebook Lives and showing my face a little bit more. And again, just encouraging conversation. That's really what all of this is about. I genuinely believe in the power of sharing our experience of this life. And so I want to hear from you. I want you to join in. I want you to show up when I'm on live and have conversations with me and share your thoughts and ask your questions and give your opinions. Let's have fun with this. Let's make this a community thing. And the final place that you can find me as well is Instagram. I know that many of you who listen to this podcast are over on Instagram and, often reply to stories and leave comments, and we have discussion over there. So that's amazing. I'm so thankful for this beautiful tribe that we have. I just love that I can show up every day and I can shine this light for you and I can talk about my experience and open doors and allow you to see new perspectives. That's genuinely what my entire hope for this is. As I think I may have mentioned in a previous podcast, but I can't remember. I've definitely mentioned it in my love notes to my email tribe. I have stopped taking on new coaching clients. So I'm no longer doing one-on-one work because my focus is largely now my doTERRA business and my beautiful global team of women who are creating freedom for themselves whilst supporting other people to up-level their health and their wellness and their self-care and all of that good stuff. So I'm not offering coaching anymore, but what that means is that I have a lot more energy and a lot more time to put into sharing all of the principles and all of the lessons and all of the knowledge and experience that I've gained through coaching in this environment with all of you. So I hope that you're going to find everything that I'm creating really, really useful. As always, I'd love your feedback. I hope that you have a beautiful week, and I will see you here again same time next week.
You have been listening to Free to Flourish Radio. For the full show notes and all other episodes, just head to gemmasands.co.uk/podcast. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, do head over to iTunes to subscribe. I'd also be super grateful if you would leave a review. It makes the world of difference to me in this little project. And I will see you here next Friday for another episode.